You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear, Atomic Habits. I suppose in some ways I wanted to understand in practical terms what that meant. So let me tell you some stories. When we moved into the farm, the goal was to put calçada over the farmyard. That's the space between the two buildings. The first quote we received was eye-wateringly expensive. The second quote came after much toing and froing, mainly trying to manage the Portuguese language by ourselves. It was significantly less than the first, but way beyond our budget. And it made us stop and think, is this what we really want? Portugal is famous for its calçada, small squares of stone laid on roads and pavements, often with ornate decoration. You can see examples in many towns and cities across Portugal. Calçada is long-lasting in areas of heavy use, footfall and traffic. But was that really the purpose for the farmyard? Was it really necessary? One day, we sat down with our plans and had a big rethink. So this is what we did in order to come up with a plan for the farmyard, is that one night I printed off several plans of the farmyard. So we had a plan for the whole farm and I just enlarged it. And then we sat down with a set of colours and we started with red and we worked out, where do we walk? Where's the pathways that are invisible, that we don't see, but where do we actually walk to? And we created a red zone, that those were where we were walking. And once we'd done that, then we used the green to work out, well, nobody really walks there, so why would we want to pave it? Why would we want to have calçada down or any kind of stone? Why don't we make that into some sort of bed and have some planting? And if you like, green the area. So we soften it. And I think in terms of the calçada and having the whole of the area done with the stone, we came to realise that it would become very stark and very industrial. And actually, when we sat and thought about it and we planned for it, it wasn't what we wanted. So we've now come up with our final plan. I'm quite sure that it may change and evolve, and it probably to you doesn't really mean an awful lot, but it's how we've determined the places we need to walk and the places that we don't. And in the places that we don't, we try to create some form of green planting, whether that's for whatever purpose, having flowers or permanent beds, probably perennials, but just to soften that area outside and manage the different seasons that we've got. That most of one side of the yard for the winter is in shadow, is in shade, and it's okay. But we've identified the beds. We've also reduced where we want stone to go and have probably rethought our ideas of using calçada to do that. We're on a mission.
I'm just going to speak to Elka, sweetheart. Can you give me 3 minutes?
Okay, we're on a mission. We are going to collect rocks. Bag, dog with a woggly tail, and a beautiful day. And it's a rock collecting day. That's what you do. Are we going to collect rocks? Yay! After the excitement of our design aspiration and the possibility of developing something uniquely creative across the yard, the task began to feel overwhelming, and a sinking feeling sat in my heart that it would never be achieved. But then I remembered the James Clear quote. If every time we walked on the mountain, we collected pieces of stone, then in very small steps we would eventually have enough to pave the entire yard. It's okay, I'm coming. Don't worry. Go on. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. Oh. Here was our simple system. As often as we could, whenever we walked, collect stones. But perhaps not that big. Since the last time we walked this track, or I walked this track anyway, this rough path has been carved out of the side of the mountain, and it kind of snakes around. So this is a completely new track, and what we're interested in is the stone, because it literally they've carved the track and then literally bulldozed all the stone over the side of the mountain and on top of trees and all sorts. And I don't think that a lot of the trees that are down here are eucalyptus, they're all pine, and they're just all over. But it's one of those things where we're sitting here thinking there's some really good stones, so that's what we're hunting for, but also just to try and understand the purpose of doing it, why. And the only thing that we can think is that it's fire access, and it's one of those where you're torn. Ecologically, it's a pretty severe scar straight into the side of the mountain. And they've done the same all the way down that ridge. I've mentioned it before, in that either side, quite significantly, it's like the mountain now has got a bald head, and that certainly wasn't like that. And again, there are little bits left, but it's like, is that a fire prevention? Are they trying to protect this valley because it is unique and beautiful? And so maybe there are things that we don't understand, but in our simple, just looking at it, it's quite dramatic and severe. Now I know this process is going to take a while. It's not going to be an instant fix, and it could change. But why my optimism that it will happen? Well, now it's time to tell you my second story. My goal has been to be able to speak Portuguese fluently, to have conversations and integrate with local people. Every day I have tried to dedicate time to learning the language. For many, many months, it has felt as if I am getting absolutely nowhere. There have been so many conversations where I'm completely stumped. I don't understand and I feel stupid. But in very recent weeks, I've slowly started to feel as if I can talk a little bit more. I've managed the dentist and the hairdressers, and this time asked for what I want, like, please don't cut my hair too short. I'm quite sure there will be many, many more times where I feel discouraged and as if I'm a failure. But it is my goal to speak this language, and so I believe I've now put in the system. I understand what that means. I've put in a system and I've developed a habit because I want to achieve this goal of speaking Portuguese. Like collecting the stones for the yard, one small piece at a time. Thank you for listening to these 2 stories. I do hope that they have inspired you, that goals can be achieved with simple habit-forming systems and small steps. It might take a very long time, but it is possible. Do remind me what I said when I get discouraged over slow progress in the yard or frustrated with my lack of Portuguese. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and if you have or not, do give me a like before you leave. Thank you. Bye bye for now.